Thank you, Mr Assistant President. I rise to support this bill, the Conversion Practices Ban Bill 2024, and I acknowledge the contribution of my Greens colleagues in this and the other place, and Dr Amanda Conn, who is leading for us on this bill. This has been a very long time coming, Mr Assistant President. It has been a long time coming for the many survivors, advocates and organisations that have worked tirelessly to end the practice of conversion, of trying to change or suppress a person's sexuality or gender identity. This reform has been a very long time coming for a lot of people, but it's important to recognise that from the outset, it's also come too late for so many people. It's come too late for so many people who came before us and never got to live a life where they were free to be their true selves, where they could live their lives openly and with joy and with pride, where they could love who they wanted to love. It's come too late for those people who took their own lives because they were told that they were unworthy, because they were sinners, because their identity was a disorder, because they were sick, because who they were was denied, because they were erased. But it is here now, and it's a very, very good thing. The Greens have consistently opposed conversion practices and ideologies, and we have advocated for a complete ban on so-called reparative, sexual orientation and gender identity conversion practices. Former Australian Greens leader Bob Brown, the first openly gay member of the Australian Parliament, has openly spoken about how, as a young medical student in Canberra, he struggled with his homosexuality, even consenting to conversion therapy. Yes, he is Christian. This consisted of him receiving electric shocks while being shown photos of naked men, and I'll acknowledge the very heartwarming and excellent contribution by the Honourable Stephen Lawrence, and this sounds almost exactly the same, how Bob Brown has spoken about what happened to him. So receiving electric shocks while being shown photos of naked men, not just one session, multiple sessions. This practice was intended to shock him straight. On the contrary, it almost drove Bob Brown to suicide. This was a long time ago, in the 60s. Yet even today, in New South Wales, of course, the practice continues, albeit to a lesser extent, as religious organisations and practitioners have been exposed and challenged over the years, and others have actually simply woken up to how damaging these conversion practices were and are. But after much pressure by advocates, and at this stage I will acknowledge the very hard work of those who are here today, who some in the public gallery, but most of them, I understand, they're here. And hopefully they'll be here when this bill passes, but I will acknowledge the work of Alex Greenwich, who I have worked with 13 years ago or something in this place on marriage equality, the marriage equality campaign. Anna Brown also worked on that campaign with Anna, but of course for everybody who is here today to see this through and has worked so hard. And I am so thrilled that this bill is before us today. And I will acknowledge the fact that Alex Greenwich did bring that bill before the other place, and the political pressure, of course, that has led to the government introducing their bill and for us to be here debating this one. Conversion therapy is pseudoscience based on archaic, bigoted ideology that people from LGBTQIA+ communities are broken, disordered, unworthy. It has lasting negative impacts on people's lives, and especially so for people of faith. In 2018, a report by La Trobe University, the Human Rights Law Centre and Gay and Lesbian Health Victoria told the lived experiences of 15 LGBTQIA+ people and their struggle to reconcile their sexuality and transgender identities with the beliefs and practices of their religious community. The report provided a comprehensive history of the conversion movement in Australia, together with legal analysis and recommendations for reform. Since the release of that report, Victoria, the ACT and New Zealand have all outlawed conversion practices. However, just as for so many other issues concerning sex, sexuality, gender, religion and women's rights, New South Wales is playing catch-up. But here we are, and as I said, it's a very good thing. The objects of this bill before us today are encouraging to prohibit change or suppression practices and to establish a civil response scheme and to ensure that all people, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity or gender expression, feel welcome and valued in New South Wales and are able to live authentically and with pride. However, the government has weakened these objects by exemptions contained in the bill which have the effect of ensuring that people, particularly young people, who are part of certain religious organisations, often through no choice of their own, are still able to be subject to homophobic and transphobic sermons and preachings. These sermons and preachings can still have terrible impacts on the mental health and self-worth of people subjected to them, particularly young people coming to terms with their sexuality or experiencing gender dysphoria. And I will note the contribution of the Honourable Susan Cate before me, who talked about religion as a choice, who talked about that conversion to religion as a choice. It is not a choice for the 12-year-old or the 13-year-old or the 14-year-old, Mr. Assistant President, who has to go to that church because their family drags them there every weekend, sometimes every night, depending on the faith. It's not a choice. And this is what this bill here today is protecting those young people from. However, a significant weakness is that it doesn't protect them from the sermons and the preachings of religious leaders who still say that being sexually attracted to someone of the same sex is sinful. It doesn't protect them from that. And that is a travesty that we still have. It is good, again, that this bill is before us today, but it is a significant weakness. Because the government was very quick to allay concerns from some religious organisations, in particular to assure them that religious freedom will not be impacted by this bill. They've gone to great lengths to ensure that expressing a belief through sermon, taking offence at religious teachings and seeking guidance through prayers are not included in the bill's provisions. To us, it's a bit unclear as to just how far these exemptions go. We don't support exemptions for religious teaching, sermons or prayers, and I know that my colleague, Dr Amanda Conn, will be moving amendments to hopefully address this. Unfortunately, we know where things are going tonight, but we, of course, will do what we can to get that over the line. Because it's been the religious organisations and private rehabilitation facilities, but largely, of course, religious organisations and beliefs that have told LGBTQI plus people that they should pray the gay away. It's been faith-based practitioners who have subjected residents to exorcism and medically abusive interventions like chemical castration. The Greens believe that these exemptions are just a completely unacceptable loophole in the protections that the bill offers, and they should be a significant cause for concern. And I'll note at this point, the politics around don't move amendments. We've just got to get the bill through, accept the bill as it is, and it's extremely disappointing that the community is told that. The community understands that the power of those sermons. They understand that if those sermons and preachings can still continue, then people will still be experiencing harm. They will still be experiencing